Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about being a little fashionably late here. I was supposed to show up about 10 minutes ago. But if there's one thing I've learned from doing all of this content creation over the years, it's that it's not about what time you start, it's about how you start. And I guess, and based off of tonight's episode, we all can agree that Miesha Tate does not understand this game, and she doesn't know how to play this game at the start. And because of that, she is having HOHitis, and she is doing what I expected someone from the UFC to do in a game like this: attempt to throw her weight around, be confrontational, a little passive aggressive, and not understand the fact that she is a bit tone deaf here. Now, understand, coming out of the premiere, I gave you all a great rant last night. We had little to nothing to discuss because there were no feeds. First things foremost, I want to celebrate this community as a whole because we applied pressure on production, we applied pressure on CBS, we applied pressure on Paramount Plus, and because of that, we're getting live feeds tonight, not tomorrow night. So after this rant, go ahead and check out them live feeds so we can get more context. Understand, this will be the last rant regarding this season without feeds to back up my arguments. So let's see how on point I am. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame, Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smid Dog Trill, the Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro Black Prodigy, the Shadow Realm Shaman, the Pronoun Punisher, and the No Sleep Assassin, here to bring balance back to Celebrity Big Brother Season 3. All of the above on that ISAT test and ACT. You know what it is. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for the fifth rant of the season, entitled Buckle Up and Execute. Now, I'd argue we needed to buckle up for this one because I didn't see none of these noms coming. We're coming out of the premiere episode thinking this is the KRESSLEY Invitational, the CKI. Hashtag that one. And you know what? Miesha Tate is a breath of fresh air a bit. If I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here, I gotta give her credit. She went against everything production would have wanted out of this HOH reign completely. You got CARSON kissing up to her, talking about, hey, can I come up there and use your shower? Sure, CARSON. She's definitely placating to him. She's making Todrick feel nice and special. I'm thinking she's doing that, trying to cozy on up to CARSON herself, and she turns CARSON into a pawn. They're in the dark. They're in the dark. Ladies and gentlemen, I was so worried them two straight black men would be on that block. But luckily for us, Miesha Tate saw the light. You're an athlete. Why would you target such a huge shield like LAMAR Odom, who doesn't know what he's doing, just like you, Miesha? Y'all got a lot in common. You feel it, dig me? So I will give her some credit. She did acknowledge that there are certain players she don't need to be getting out, and there are other players she should be looking to get out, such as the social threats, because that's not her game. For Miesha Tate to play a great game, she does have to target people who are capable of doing things she can't do. Now, this was why I was a bit confused why she was so close to Todrick, because that guy's athletic and social. In theory, he's the worst possible threat towards her game. But she gives him a pass here and there. Doesn't make sense to me, but I'll let that go. So tonight's episode kicked off where last night's episode ended, right? We essentially have Miesha Tate as the new HOH crowned. She's excited about these things, but the GALA Gift is looming over everyone in the precipice. No one knows what's going to happen. Here is Todd Bridges' goofy self, thinking he's just going to be handed a twist because he sat out. Was it worth sitting out now, Todd? Now, granted, I'm thankful that the brother didn't get thrown up for not competing. Whew, you dodged a bullet there too, coach. But with that said, I hate to see a guy not compete. So it's good to see that didn't come back to haunt him necessarily, but understand, this episode begins with Miesha on a witch hunt to get out TEDDI, right? to the point where she wants to backdoor someone we don't even think is that much of a comp threat. Now, to be fair, TEDDI did very well in that endurance. So if you're Miesha, you don't really want to give her a chance. And I blame DX for some of this, because DX created this new era where all people want to do is backdoor people they fear. So here we are. But that's neither here nor there. It's not all on DX, but you get my gist here. At the end of the day, Coach, we have Miesha confiding in Todrick. And this episode starts off with the Todrick coronation party. It felt as if now they were trying to turn it into the Todrick Hall Invitational, the THI. It's like production is trying to subtly put all the pressure on Todrick, not on CARSON in the edit. That way, if CARSON inevitably outplays Todrick, it'll be looked at as unexpected, an underdog story. And now, specifically with CARSON hitting the block week 1, none of us saw this coming. This sets up CARSON's underdog edict to begin. Okay? So understand, you got this guy Todrick out here being pushed as this fantastic player when all of these alliances are really falling on his lap. Because we don't have any feeds to substantiate if he worked for these things based off his own great game or not, we don't know if some of this is being manufactured in the edit. So you have Todrick, who's already aligned, coming out of last night with the girls and the gays. But then you have MARAI NAGASU, who comes out of nowhere while in the shower with TEDDI MELLENCAMP. And then they approach Todrick, and then they essentially, out of nowhere, say, hey, the two of us would like to be in whatever you and CYNTHIA are in. We really like CYNTHIA. Now, notice MARAI was the only one speaking when she said, I really like CYNTHIA. You didn't hear that from TEDDI's mouth. She's here to target you, CYNTHIA. Huh? Huh? Sorry about the connection, ladies and gentlemen. It's all over the place for whatever reason. Understand, after last night's rant, I'm telling y'all too much of the truth. But with that said, we're going to keep it moving. So you got MARAI all of a sudden wanting to be an aggressive player out of nowhere when on premiere night she showed herself to not be this type of player. So I couldn't tell if she was threatened by Miesha being HOH, so she was looking for added numbers to protect her socially or not. Now, as for TEDDI, we understand why TEDDI is doing this, because clearly TEDDI is in cahoots with CARSON, and CARSON doesn't want TEDDI to go. I think CARSON behind the scenes, this is just my thoughts here. I think CARSON behind the scenes could have put TEDDI up to this to approach Todrick. That way it didn't seem like it was CARSON's idea to include those two women in what they already were building towards. Now, patrons know that MARAI NAGASU was on RuPaul's Drag Race, meaning she has prior knowledge and prior relationships with not only CYNTHIA, but of course Todrick, and of course CARSON as well. So with all those things considered, we all know that it makes perfect sense for MARAI and TEDDI to be included in the Girls and the Gays Alliance, which then would turn into a new formation called the Formation. All right, so we've caught you up on that. So now the 4-person alliance has become a 6-person alliance. Still no straight men involved, but there are straight women included. Go figure. All right, so now the alliance has Todrick, it has CARSON, and it has 4 ladies, right? So they're sitting good. Then you got KRESSLEY approaching Todrick. So Todrick feels super special based off of that. Okay? You have Miesha approaching Todrick for an alliance with LAMAR possibly. Maybe even MARAI NAGASU to be included. Call it an athletes alliance. So Todrick is feeling himself this episode. Okay? He believes he's the kingmaker. He believes he has the Infinity Stones. And I believe when you allow someone like Todrick, who didn't have much confidence walking into this house, to get all of that instant clout, he is not going to be able to utilize it effectively, in my opinion. He got way too much too soon, and I think he's starting to buy his own BS. I think he's starting to think he's a better player than he actually is. Because during this episode, MARAI NAGASU clearly did everything she could to show Todrick that her loyalty is to CYNTHIA, which means her loyalty technically is to black folks on the surface. This should have been enough for Todrick, especially during, I'll get into the Manwan of it all, the whole GALA Gift of it all. But what you all need to understand is Todrick clearly understands that he has MARAI in his pocket. That's why he put the sorting hat on her later in the episode. So if he feels he can trust her, I don't see how her telling information to Miesha regarding TEDDI or telling TEDDI information regarding Miesha changes a thing for Todrick's game. Understand, Todrick is the one who shifted the target of Miesha wanting TEDDI out to Miesha wanting MARAI out. And see, this is what I told y'all. Everyone wants to create this argument of, oh, man, people of color, people of color. Even in this episode, you see an example of Todrick not valuing people of color at all. He put on his cape for TEDDI just to paint a target on MARAI when MARAI is loyal to Cynthia. And if you're a Cynthia fan, you need to be looking at Todrick funny style, because by him allowing TEDDI to escape the block possibly this week, he is creating a scenario where TEDDI can stick around to take out Cynthia. See, y'all not hearing me, man. I hope y'all ain't still buying the Kool-Aid from last night. It's time for y'all to wake up. Todrick is trying to make sure that Cynthia has to rely on him because he doesn't want her to have as many options that he has. MARAI can't play both sides, but Todrick can. Really a double standard there from him. I would have thought he would have respected the gameplay because he's privy to all the information anyway. At any moment, he could use it against her, but she can't use nothing against him. You would think Todrick would see the value in MARAI playing that role because she can take the heat for the stuff he does later if he uses his brain. But for whatever reason, he throws her under the bus. It didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, we can create the argument Miesha Tate's HOH reign right now don't make sense, but Todrick's pivoting prowess, or his lack thereof of noticing it, is why I'm confused too. Because this was too early to make MARAI get taken out. And trust me, I'm happy the straight black men are not being taken out so far. I mean, anything could happen with this third nomination, okay? And did you notice during this episode how SHANNA once again sneaks in some slick stuff to say regarding Cynthia? So let me go ahead and fast forward to essentially what happened with the GALA Gift box so I can explain this. So the GALA Gift box was explained by Julie Chen. Miesha Tate comes out with this purse, and you put the purse, it's like torn open at the bottom. You put the purse on everyone's head one by one that you want to not be safe this week. So it's basically an elimination competition, kind of. You choose the person you don't want to have the blessing. So it kind of reveals the loyalty of certain players based off who they aren't willing to choose. But if you're really smart, you choose someone you're working with to throw people off the scent that that's someone you're next to. So, of course, with KRESSLEY, he picked KATTAN. Very wise gameplay on his end, in my opinion. Also, CARSON was wise enough to speak to Todrick and say, I'm going to pick you. Now, Todrick had a right to feel like, hey, man, why are you telling me this in public right now? He has a right to say that. But with that said, where is Todrick holding SHANNA MOAKLER accountable when she goes out of her way to say, oh, well, I think Cynthia's going to have to choose the third nominee? She says that in front of the whole house. We don't see a confessional of Todrick saying she talking too much. But when it comes to CARSON saying something that actually made sense to kind of cover up their alliance, Todrick had a problem with that. So that tells me Todrick and CARSON could butt heads later. I don't believe they will, but I think it's possible. Now, if I know anything about CARSON, he's going to manipulate Todrick into making himself into a huge threat. And I think Todrick is already doing a fantastic job of making himself into a huge threat, right? But let's finish up what happened with this GALA Gift thing. I don't want to lose myself. So I documented who picked who one by one, ladies and gentlemen. So please allow me to break this down to you. So essentially, we have Miesha Tate, who starts off with the GALA Gift. It's called the Mon Wan. She starts it off by choosing KRESSLEY. She expects KRESSLEY to immediately pick TEDDI, so TEDDI is available for the back door. Understand, all of this is prior to what happens with MARAI and Todrick, okay? And TEDDI for that matter. So Captain Kirk picks KATTAN immediately to offset and make people think they aren't that close. KATTAN then picks Todd Bridges. And then KATTAN admits he doesn't like him because he snores too much at night. All right, so you got the storyline that's being basically being put on Todd Bridges. They're making him seem like basically a slacker. He's always sleeping. He doesn't want to compete in comps. That's the narrative they're giving him. And then for LAMAR, they're making him seem like some simp over Khloe Kardashian who just wants his old thing back that talks in his sleep as if he's in a Romeo and Juliet romance. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, but this is what they're doing. And then by comparison, they're making Todrick seem as if he is Ross Matthews. I'm not buying it. But let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. So then Chris KATTAN picks Todd, of course, like I said. Todd then picks TEDDI. So then Todd, essentially by picking TEDDI, he finally did what Miesha wanted from Chris Kirkpatrick. TEDDI then, of course, picks LAMAR. So all of the production picks are the last ones to be picked, and they all happen to be members of this newly formed formation of Lions, okay? All of this seemed a little too convenient for me. And this is more so why I think, and see, call me crazy, I think when they started to see who were the last ones to be picked, I think this could have altered Miesha Tate's thinking towards her noms too. This could have made her want to pick CARSON as a possible pawn just because, wow, all the last people to be chosen all seem to be CARSON's best friends. This guy's a huge threat. We need to shake something out. We need to figure out where people's loyalty truly lies. And I think there's an ulterior motive for her throwing up CARSON as well, because if she's super close to Todrick, if she's trying to bring Todrick in on this alliance, he's not making it known about the formation's existence, but then she nominates CARSON. CARSON's going to look at Todrick funny style, because keep in mind, during the HOH competition last night, Miesha made it no secret that she was giving Todrick special treatment, and I'm sure this played a role in why Chris Kirkpatrick wanted to work with Todrick, because everyone wants to appease the newly crowned HOH. They don't want to piss off her favorite person in the house. That'll make you into a nominee. So it was wise for players to placate to Todrick's ego coming off of what Miesha did during the HOH comp. That's important for me to mention too, right? All of these things play a factor here. So understand, everyone in the formation is the last to be picked with the GALA Gift. You got to read between the lines and go, that's clearly an alliance. So, and this is when CARSON mentions to Todrick that if I get picked next, I have to pick you next. Okay? Now, Todrick didn't want him to mention none of this, and you had CARSON sitting super low trying to whisper. He cut his mouth. He was like a ventriloquist. He was talking with his lips was not moving. And Todrick wasn't feeling that because he thought that compromised his game a little bit, or could have. And Cynthia definitely looked a little awkward in that situation too, because she's sitting on the other side of that, right? And it basically implies that them three are working together because CARSON trusts her enough to whisper that next to her, right? If you pay attention, CARSON kind of subtly compromised both black people within his original alliance. Once again, doesn't this further perpetuate what I said in the last rant about how that four-person alliance really only benefits SHANNA and CARSON? Then after, well, hold on, let me not rush into that. Let's get into it. So LAMAR now has the sorting hat. He picks CARSON. CARSON then picks Todrick. Todrick then picks MARAI. Now, his excuse for picking MARAI was, I have her in my pocket already. I don't have SHANNA already. So I'm not going to pick SHANNA. I'm going to pick MARAI. And we knew he wasn't going to pick Cynthia, right? So that was his methodology towards making that decision. So Todrick picks MARAI. So now it's basically between SHANNA and Cynthia who will get this week completely off and be completely safe by being the one to have the Manwan sorting purse hat, whatever. All right. So then MARAI is forced to spin around with the hat on. You know, it reminded me of the game you used to play in college, Coach, where you got the baseball bat, huh? And you spin around, and then you got to run to the other side. Matter of fact, there was a competition during Big Brother 23 just like this. The more I think about it, wasn't it the week Brent went home? Yeah, that was the week Xavier and Christian worked together and formed like Voltron to get Brent out of there. So salute to them. You feel a dig me? So that was this week in Big Brother history. But no, so MARAI is forced to spin around and then put the bag on someone. She chooses SHANNA, but because of course she is closer to Cynthia. So this does give me hope at this point of the episode that, oh man, Cynthia and MARAI are the unlikely duo here. But here's my take on this. I think Todrick was getting jealous. I think he was getting jealous of the fact that MARAI was closer to Cynthia than she was to him. Even if he believes MARAI is in his pocket, he sees she's willing and dealing, telling certain information to certain people, not really running it back to him into the last second for him to react to. I think he is the type of player who could become jealous of someone taking his power vacuum to an extent. And if he sees someone being capable of playing similar to him, not named CARSON, I think he's going to snip them. Now, the thing is he going to be this heartless towards CARSON later in the game? I doubt it. But I need him to keep that same energy with him if he going to do this to MARAI week one, because that's a bad look. From an optic standpoint, MARAI should not be the first boot here, which is why I never thought it would happen. I thought a straight black man 9 times out of 10 would get sent to the shadow realm before MARAI here. So I'm humbly surprised here, you know. So I did get some predictions wrong here. I'll own that. So Miesha then reveals on eviction night someone not nominated could go home because of the Manwan sorting hat, so anyone but Cynthia can still go home as of tomorrow night, essentially. So SHANNA then wastes no time to throw Cynthia under the bus by saying she may have to nominate the third player herself because of the safety she has. So people now believe the blessing is the 1 week of safety, but the curse is Cynthia having to have the blood on her hands of picking a third nom. Now here's the thing, if you're a fan of the formation, don't be all doom and gloom. Number one, we still have a veto competition to play. That's number one. Number two, you also have the possibility of Cynthia being able to choose a third nom not within the formation. The problem is, if noms stay the same and she's only able to pick a third nom, she has to find someone who's guaranteed to go home over MARAI and CARSON. With Todrick snitching on MARAI, he's going to want MARAI to go. So this might be, and see, if Cynthia's the one picking the third nom, a straight black. I hope this connection comes back. What's going on? Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what was happening with that connection. I was trying to wait for it to come back because I want to keep all of these hot takes in the holster. But like I was saying, I'm very excited for the black players because if Cynthia is able to be the person who selects the third nom, she's in the position now to protect the straight black men and stay loyal to her original gays and girls alliance. This is all I wanted Cynthia to have the power to do. And you can argue, now that she has the Manwan bag over her head, you can argue Cynthia now has all the power to protect the straight black men from being the third nom, as long as veto isn't won and used, of course. And she can also throw up another player who she doesn't mind losing. Now, by process of elimination, who would that person be? In theory, it would have to be KATTAN or Kirkpatrick, but Miesha's never throwing up Kirkpatrick. That means the only other person I think can go home if Cynthia has this power that determines the third nom is KATTAN. That's the only way the formation could stay intact. And do you think production is going to want to lose KATTAN first? Call me crazy. No matter how much they like MARAI and all of these sound bites they're forcing her down our throats with, they're going to let her go if it's between her and KATTAN. And you know they're not letting CARSON go first. So this is one of the unique scenarios where MARAI was part of this RuPaul preseason alliance. But because Todrick didn't want her to shine, she's in harm's way here. When she did not deserve to be in this position. I honestly do feel bad for MARAI. Even if I will clown how forced some of these confessionals are, I gotta admit, this is unfair, the position she was put in. So at the end of the day, Chris Kirkpatrick was wise during this episode. He never telegraphed information to TEDDI regarding her being the backdoor option. Never did. Now, I will say this. Miesha Tate was very confusing when she approached MARAI. Understand, she approached MARAI, making it seem like she wanted her to be within the Athletes Alliance. Because MARAI was already part of formation, she felt like it was incumbent upon her to run information back to TEDDI to let her know she was the one that was getting backdoored. I will say this, MARAI, you probably now understand the mistake you made, right? When you have a lot of information, it's always best to understand that intel in this game is currency. Why give away currency for free to someone? Why tell them that prior to when it's necessary? At the end of the day, you should be thinking about self-preservation first and foremost, then trying to protect your closest ally. By her going out of her way to stick her neck out in that fashion, but see, you got to understand, Miesha also gaslit MARAI to do this. You know, the more I think about it, because how are you going to say you want someone in your alliance and then at the end of the conversation say, but you got to be a pawn though? It's like mixed signals much? So you want me to work with you, but you're going to throw me on the block week 1 with there's 8, 9 other people to choose from here? So this is what leads to MARAI running up to TEDDI, telling TEDDI what's up. Which, of course, leads to MARAI also, was it MARAI who also, or was it TEDDI who also ran up? I think I took a note on this. Someone ran up to Todrick, which led to Todrick outing everybody. We'll get into that in a split second, ladies and gentlemen. But what you need to understand is, this is what I think made Todrick a little bit jealous of MARAI's game. This is what I think made him believe she was more expendable than she was a necessary player. And when you also add the fact that he knows TEDDI is going to go after Miesha Tate, wanting all the smoke no matter what deal she cuts with her, it is somewhat strategic and smart to keep someone around who's going to have a legit vendetta with someone. But with that said, MARAI could have had that same vendetta, and MARAI's more athletic than TEDDI. It really does feel like Todrick is doing these things because he wants to keep more power in the game than CYNTHIA. But with CYNTHIA currently having this Manwan power, it's impossible for Todrick to gain all of that in week 1. I think he's hurting his game more than he's helping it, especially if it gets out that he played a role in MARAI being on the block. This could all blow up back in his face, right? So he's really fortunate that Miesha wanted to work with him that bad. He's really fortunate. Now, so if veto is won, Miesha reveals she wants TEDDI out at this point. This goes against the pregame alliance that RuPaul's Drag Race has, so MARAI will never want this. Then Miesha tests her by asking her if she's willing to be a pawn, and MARAI is perplexed by it. MARAI runs this intel to TEDDI immediately, following the Ariadna Brandy playbook to a T. I told you all that they were the second coming of Ariadna and Brandy Glanville, and even from that shower scene when they walked up to Todrick basically saying they wanted to work with that other 4, it was giving me those vibes immediately. Now TEDDI knows she is the backdoor plan. TEDDI approaches Todrick and snitches on MARAI. Now Todrick knows MARAI isn't the best player because she talks too much. And it also compromises Todrick directly because MARAI is trying to play the game Todrick wants to play. And this is why I think he really told on MARAI. He doesn't want anyone playing him not named CARSON. Now, a lot of fans are not going to like the hypocrisy in Todrick's game, how he hates on MARAI for doing what he is doing and taking a lot of clout in doing, especially when TEDDI is more of a threat to CYNTHIA than MARAI, creating a chance for MARAI, and he's doing work to help CYNTHIA. When you really break it down, even this move to take out MARAI over TEDDI is really a little too convenient for me for Carson's game. Carson can get more out of TEDDI, I believe, on this cast than he can get out of MARAI. CYNTHIA could have gotten more out of MARAI than Carson and Todrick could. Now do you see why MARAI became the new target? The proof is in the pudding there. TEDDI then offers a deal to Miesha for safety in exchange for MARAI being the new target by saying if she avoids the block this week, she won't throw Miesha up when she wins HOH in the coming weeks. Miesha immediately jumps on code and says she believes her. So you mean to tell me all that anger she had, I'm talking about Miesha Tate, you mean to tell me all that anger she had towards TEDDI in the last episode, all of that disappears the minute she offers you one deal? That's all it took? Why didn't you just give her the deal during the damn endurance comp? I think she always wanted to go for MARAI, but she knew the optics of it looked bad, so she chose to go for TEDDI, and the minute she had an opportunity to pick someone else that wasn't white, she took it. Because she was dissing MARAI during the endurance comp before she ever didn't give TEDDI a thing. And you also got to keep in mind, we're not watching these feeds. How close was TEDDI and MARAI prior to that HOH endurance comp? All of this could play a role. I'm telling you. So, while I will admit MARAI was doing too much, she didn't deserve to be ratted out so soon by Todrick. And if MARAI goes out first, it frees up TEDDI to get closer to who? CARSON and SHANNA. This is too convenient. Oh, man. I think Todrick has already managed to fumble the Manwan bag. Can we keep it a bean tonight? Can we keep it a bean tonight? He fumbled it. Then Miesha tells CARSON he will be a pawn this week because everyone likes him. Miesha's social game is going to be in the mud after this week, and with the GALA Gift nominating a third player possibly, the formation could in theory still make it out of this week. Question is though, if CYNTHIA gets that power to nominate someone, will she pick the right person to flip this game and gain the power vacuum? In theory, Miesha Tate has given CYNTHIA a chance here to take over the game, while Todrick tried to limit CYNTHIA's power by outing MARAI. I'm excited to watch these feeds now. When MARAI and CARSON are nominated, KRESSLEY is visibly shocked. He's like, he couldn't believe it. Because I'm willing to bet, just like a lot of people in that house, everyone thought CARSON was untouchable. And that's why I am a little happy about what just happened tonight. It tells people, hey man, you ain't gonna get no easy road. You gotta earn this. You know what I mean? And anything that makes Carson question whether Todrick is really speaking up for him in an HOH with Miesha is great, because Carson could turn on Todrick later in the game and give him a Negro wake-up call. And that really could be great TV. I'm just saying, from an entertainment standpoint, let's cast aside the prior biases. That would be great TV. It's all about entertainment, right? You know what I mean? So I'm subtly becoming a fan of Miesha a little bit just for going against what production would have wanted. KRESSLEY said the noms woke him up by saying there is a game going on before staring into the camera. And that's what really showed me, like, a lot of these people weren't really privy to the type of high-frequency gameplay being played so fast. No one would have thought on day one we'd have a 4-person alliance. By day 2, we have a 6-person alliance. And that whole 6-person alliance might crumble by day 3. It's insane. And now that we have feeds coming back tonight, I'm very intrigued to see some more context as to what led to what happened. I'm really interested to see what the plan is from this bigger alliance. What will they decide to do, right? If it is on CYNTHIA to nominate a third person, will they apply pressure on CYNTHIA to throw up a straight black man? Will CYNTHIA stand tall for straight black men among that type of peer pressure, possibly from CARSON and MARAI? Is CYNTHIA willing to sacrifice MARAI because her game, she can't really afford to stick her neck out for, especially when Todrick's already pounding the pavement to get her out, especially when Carson's on the block next to her, and you can't really show any loyalty to MARAI when Carson's next to her. That's going to tell Carson you're closer to her than him. So it creates a scenario where if CYNTHIA does have to pick this third nominee, she has to really pick KRESSLEY. There's really no other third nominee you can put up there, right? For her game. She can't put up TODD. She can't put up LAMAR. MARAI and Carson are already up, and Miesha's an HOH. So that means she can only choose between another 5 people. So only 5 people she can really choose from. No, she can't even choose from that 5 because she can't choose between those 2 straight black men too. So really, she can only choose between 3 people. KIRKPATRICK, KATTAN, and TEDDI. She's not going to choose TEDDI. TEDDI's in her newly found formation. So she can only pick KIRKPATRICK or KATTAN. So in theory, but Miesha, oh, that's the thing though. Miesha's the HOH, but Miesha don't have no say in that. Honestly, the best move for the formation is to get KIRKPATRICK out for week 1. This is their opening to make a huge move. CYNTHIA will get the credit for it. Oh, wait a minute. But I'm worried. Man, I don't care. But then again, you know what? It would be dope to see CYNTHIA get that type of clout for that huge of a move. Getting out such a huge, big fish like KIRKPATRICK week 1. Being able to take sole credit for that. And being able to create the narrative that you protected your entire alliance while doing that move. I'm talking myself into CYNTHIA's winners edit. You feel it, dig me? I'm talking myself into her winners edit. Wait a minute. Because throwing up KRESSLEY don't do much for you. That sends home MARAI. But if you put up KIRKPATRICK, you save your entire alliance. You know what? That's her only move. KIRKPATRICK's in trouble. Uh-oh. KIRKPATRICK, man, you need to be picked for this veto. You need to win that veto, and you need to have that around your neck so she can't choose your ass. I can smell trouble in the atmosphere, coach. And this is what I'm so excited about with this game, right? Anything can happen. Wow. Yeah, if you're CYNTHIA, the only move that makes sense is putting KRESSLEY on that block tomorrow night. Having KRESSLEY next to Carson KRESSLEY, next to MARAI NAGASU. What a, man, talk about crazy nominees. That's insane. And see, now I got to be a conspiracy theorist production. Hold on. I got to be a conspiracy theorist production. I got to wait for my connection to get back. I'm worried about something. Did y'all always have this twist in the tuck just in case Carson and Todrick got targeted week 1? So you always had this third nominee in your pocket to save them? See, I got to throw stuff out there y'all ain't thinking about right now. Isn't this a little too convenient? Come on, we're talking about a twist that was designed to help the majority alliance clearly because it's based around the majority alliance being able to not pick each other so each other has an option to be safe. Then the one who is safe has a curse which can save their alliance entirely week 1? That's not a curse to me. That's 2 blessings. Depending on how you use it, it's 2 blessings. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm asking myself more questions. But ladies and gentlemen, this has only been the second rant of the season. I didn't want this video to be too long. My apologies for the connection being in and out. I'm going to try my best to get the connection a lot better for tomorrow. But for now, I threw enough things against the wall to make y'all think. And I want to run over to these live feeds and I want to gather more intel. That way, after tomorrow night, double header of an episode, 2-hour long episode in which we will see the veto competition, veto ceremony, and hopefully a third nominee being thrown up by Cynthia, which could end up being Kirkpatrick here. And see, for all the people who said, oh, you're not mentioning Kirkpatrick enough in your power rankings, here's why he wasn't in my top 5. He didn't get enough visibility. And if production is making this edit, and they've had a lot of time to sit on it, one has to create the argument that maybe they're not giving Kirkpatrick a lot of visibility because they know he could be set up to fail here tomorrow. I don't know. But based off how they're making MARAI look so good during this episode, I mean, she had one soundbite tonight when she was just like, she says something like, formation is the name and winning Celebrity Big Brother is the game. And I'm like, yo, they are trying super hard, yo. So if I know anything about production, they're salty that Miesha Tate made this move. They are going to do everything they can to save CARSON and MARAI because both of them, I think, are growing to be Apex production pets. Being on this block and surviving this week is just going to turn both of them into stronger players because once you touch that block and you survive it, you have a different level of zen and clarity in your game. And I just think we're going to see even better gameplay from MARAI moving forward as she survives this week. But with that said, her surviving this week is predicated on whether or not Cynthia takes a big shot by going after a Kirkpatrick, or if she takes the simple shot of throwing up KATTAN and letting him go. In theory, scared money don't make none, Cynthia. And what do you have to lose from taking out Kirkpatrick when he don't have as many ties as y'all have? Taking him out, what are you worried about? Chris KATTAN winning an HOH and coming for you? I mean, in theory, Cynthia is being set up here to be a legend if she takes out Kirkpatrick tomorrow night. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe the stage is set for tomorrow night, if Cynthia has this power, to send Chris Kirkpatrick home as the first boot? Wouldn't that be the biggest shocker coming out of this week, especially since he's so close to Miesha Tate? This would be a huge shocker. Do you think Todrick would grow jealous of Cynthia if she was able to pull off a move like that? And do you think this could possibly compromise Cynthia among the alliance? All of these questions will need to be answered tomorrow, but this is why I am in a rush to return to these feeds, ladies and gentlemen. So if you could, please do not forget to hit that like button, comment underneath this video, and share it with all of the fans of Celebrity Big Brother that you rock with. I'm Dave Smith with Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. And this has been Buckle Up and Execute. Miesha Tate, I do not know what kind of game you are playing, but you are providing us with chaos that is Frenchie-esque. So I appreciate it. Keep it up, coach. And Cynthia, you have a unique opportunity tomorrow night to put yourself in BB celebrity lore forever if you take out Kirkpatrick. So, hey, as a wise man once said, you know, you come at the king, you best not miss. That's a big fish to take out very early. And in theory, getting out Kirkpatrick this week, when your entire alliance is sure to go after Miesha Tate next week, that sets up their entire 6-person alliance to most likely steamroll this game, because you could create the argument Miesha and Kirkpatrick are the biggest obstacles for the formation. You could create that argument. Who else is really a big obstacle for them in this house? So I think the stage is set. I think production does not want to lose MARAI or CARSON. If I had to give you all a Recency Bias Radio stamp of approval prediction, it's that Chris Kirkpatrick is in big trouble heading into tomorrow night. I'm Dave Smith for Recency Bias Radio, and I'll see y'all then. Deuces. Until next time, I am inevitable.